All right, good evening, basketball fans. Welcome to the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Jim Sinacropi here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls. And, he's got a little background noise going there. But hey, I'm here on Sunday night. It's been a busy weekend for us here at Finger Lakes 1. Quadruple header at the Chiropractic College to kick off the season. And a lot of teams in action. Not every team, but a lot of teams in action to start the season. Glad you could be with me tonight. I got a full show tonight. We have interviews with Enrique, Mosman of Gananda, Justice Smith of Lyons, Jarret, Benedicks from Waterloo, Jake Mean from Mynderse after that big win over Clyde, Bryce Burri from Midlakes we'll hear from, Tyler Tyson from Geneva. So without further ado, let's get things going here. The Upstate Hoops Podcast and all our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank. With locations in Auburn, Farmington, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo, they're online at mygenbank.com. And by Therascar. Learn more about Therascar's benefits at 5starmedicalcorp.com. And by Dr. Rod Littlejohn, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. So this season kicked off on Tuesday night when Mynderse played Marcus Whitman. Kind of a weird opener. East-West crossover. Mynderse going to Rushville to face the Wildcats. And it was 34-27 at halftime, but Mynderse really opened it up in the third quarter with a 53-32 advantage after three periods. Alley-oop dunk from Jake Mean. Blue Devils would cruise in the fourth quarter to a 64-41 victory. Now, expect Mynderse to win that game probably. Expecting Whitman in our power rankings last week. I think they were coming in at 8th in our power rankings. One of the better teams in the West we're projecting against one of the better teams in the East. So would have been a pretty nice upset if Whitman had pulled that off. But I think the advantage, the 23-point margin, I think says something as to how good Mynderse is. We expect them to be good, but we want to see the action on the court. And so that was verification, I think, of kind of some of the expectations for Mynderse this year. 4-year starting guard Brett Anderson led all scorers that game with 17, while fellow senior Jake Mean hauled down 15 rebounds, scored 8 points, and most impressively, dished out 7 assists. Jake Jones also added 10 for the winning Blue Devils, and this is a thing that Mynderse did against Clyde in their victory at the college Saturday night, and we'll probably see a lot more of. You're going to dump it into Jake Mean, and if you're going to double team him, then he's going to find one of the many shooters for Mynderse and pick up 7 assists as he did against Marcus Whitman. If you're going to try to not double him, then he's going to go ahead and spin and put a shot up and take you one-on-one. So Whitman has a big kid in Gavin McComiskey that could have given him trouble. Clyde, Derek Cobb, when Jarret Murray tried to slow him down, and they did in the first half, but big third quarter for Jake Mean on Saturday against Clyde. So things really got underway on Friday night with a handful of teams in action. Red Jacket defeated Warsaw in a tournament in Warsaw. Red Jacket lost to Warsaw 56-54. Pair of free throws by Ethan Groff for Warsaw with 3 seconds left in the game gave Red Jacket the opening night loss. Dan Brown and Traverse Liberty scored 13 points apiece for the Indians, and that advanced Red Jacket to the consolation game where they would face Marion, who lost to Pavilion. So we got a FL West Wayne County crossover in that consolation game on Saturday that we'll get to. And then out in northeast Wayne County, northwest Huga County, right on the border there in Red Creek, Cato Meridian visited Red Creek out of Section 3, and Red Creek lost 78-63 despite 20 points for Nick Klein. And then in girls action on Friday in Red Jacket, tournament host. Red Jacket advanced with a 35-27 win, and they advanced to the final Saturday where they would face Mynderse, who won in their opener. And so let's jump ahead quickly to Saturday now. Give you the results of that Red Jacket tournament and that Warsaw tournament. Red Jacket rolled 69-50 over Marion in the consolation game in Warsaw. Dan Brown had 19 points. Lawrence LeBombard, 12 rebounds and 5 blocks. And for Marion, it was Jake Fluco with 15 points. For the Black Knights, Red Creek, another Section 3 opponent in Hannibal on their home court, and Hannibal won handily 58-38. Nick Klein had 21 points in that game. So a good scoring start for Nick Klein, but not a good start for Red Creek and Will Dumont in his first year as head coach, taking over Jamie Grimshaw, starting at 0-2. A couple of tough games though to start. I think Red Creek will do okay in Wayne County. I think they're going to pick up plenty of wins because it's not just Nick Klein. They got a kid named Noah Fisher who does pretty well. So that leaves all the games on Saturday at the chiropractic college. Although congratulations to Jerry Anderson's Lady Blue Devils on Saturday. They did defeat Red Jacket in that tournament final to pretty handily, led by Sarah Schaefer, to start their season at 2-0. But the main event was at the New York Chiropractic College for the Tip-Off Classic, the third annual. It's a great event that Rhett Taccone, Health and Fitness Director over there at NYCC, puts together. It's grown in now its third iteration, and it's a great showcase of a lot of Wayne Finger Lakes teams right off the bat the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And so it was a quadruple header. You can see it all on Finger Lakes One TV. We got links all over the place and on our YouTube channel and our app if you want to watch those games. And we'll take you through the results one by one, and we're going to hear from the player of the game in each one of those games. And the nice thing about this thing was there's a lot of kids that weren't playing that came to watch. So it's almost like a welcome back to basketball season event. There's just was a lot of familiar faces in the crowd that came out to watch some of the teams that were playing. A lot of them teammates on AAU teams of some of the guys that are playing, and a lot of them just generally interested, and also a lot of familiar faces from the coaching ranks were on hand there. So a really great event to start off the season, and it got started bright and early at noon with Southern Cuga and Lyons, and Southern Cuga out of Section 4 in the IAC Small Schools League. And Zach Young's Lions looked pretty good, winning convincingly 67-41. Sophomore point guard, which he's still just a sophomore, Justice Smith had 18 points to lead the Lions. Devin Franklin had 14. Ben Rockefeller had 10 in the win. And the first thing I noticed when I saw Justice Smith was he was taller than he was last time I saw him. And the kid just has a way about him. It looks like he's not trying. He's just so under control and balanced and big now for a point guard. He'll be bigger than all the point guards that he's facing in Wayne County. That's for sure. And probably I think they're in I want to say C2. It might be C3 this year. But and still just a sophomore. So Justice Smith sat down with Brendan Harrington and Tony Robinson after the game to talk about the win as the player of the game on the Dr. Rod Littlejohn post-game show. So we're going to play you that interview right now, and we'll hear from Justice Smith, sophomore point guard for the Lions.
And we are joined now by Justice Smith, the highest scorer for Lions in game number 1, 18 points. And first of all, Justice, kind of a return home for you in terms of where you started your career last year, right? Kind of your coming out party last year. You had 22 points. I know your team fell in that game last year against Midlakes, but this year 18, and you get the win. So certainly a successful start to your season. How'd you feel out there today?
Felt good. I don't know.
What do you think your team did well today that allowed you to get this win here in game number 1?
Shoot threes and stuff. I felt like we did good at that. Penetrating kick.
You have some great possessions early on. It seemed to kind of work inside out. What are some things you're looking to do here in year number 2 as you have a whole year of varsity underneath your belt?
Be the leader for my team, and I don't know, help my team win games.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest thing you learned last year was?
To be under control and keep care of the ball.
Now, I was talking with Coach Young yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about your game, and he said, once in a while, maybe you take a possession off defensively. Mm-hmm. But I thought your best play of the game today was that little combination where you had a strip, and then it looked like you were out of the play, and you came back and got the block. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I tried to go under him and steal the ball, and then I didn't get it, and then I saw that they, saved it, and I just went there for the block, and then I got it.
Were you surprised last year by the amount of success you had as just a freshman?
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna play like that. I thought I was gonna have an all right season, but I feel like I played really good.
Now, as you look to this year, I mean, obviously individually you want to continue to work on your game, but is it a goal to, from a team standpoint, have a little bit more success?
Yes. I want to go at least have a winning record, go over 500.
What's it like growing up in Lyons and seeing the tradition of a program like this? I mean, do you remember as a pretty young kid going to games?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, my uncles all played for Lyons and stuff.
Yeah. So as you know, kind of the long tradition
mm-hmm.
that you kind of have to live up to, but at the same time, it's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, as you look ahead to the rest of the year, what do you think is going to be the key for this particular team to have some success?
I feel like shoot the ball good, and I feel like we just got to keep playing hard, and I don't know.
All right. Well, congratulations. It's got to feel good to be back out there, start the season off, and certainly did it the right way with a win.
Yep, thank you.
All right. Justice Smith joining us here on the Dr. Rod Littlejohn Smiles with Style postgame show. And we're going to keep it here, guys. We're going to take a timeout. Jim. All right. We'll stay here for a minute. That's fine. In fact, we can.
Brendan Harrington talking and Tiny Robinson talking to Justice Smith, who great start to the season. I don't know about that season goal of just finishing 500, Justice. I think that Coach Zach Young has higher expectations for this team than just a 500 record. But always impressive when the kid, he's a sophomore, and he comes on and and conducts this interview, participates in this interview. And always impressive, he's 15, 16 years old, sophomore in high school, and all of a sudden, he's got a couple guys shooting questions at him. So I love the kid. I just love his demeanor. I love the rec specs. His hairdo makes him look even taller than he is. And definitely too much to handle for Southern Cuca. I can't wait to see him match up with Derek Chance and some other players in Wayne County, Tyler Norris or Nick Klein or Enrique Mosman, as Lyons gets into league play. And we're going to see him again on Saturday night at the Waterloo Hall of Fame Classic against either the winner or loser of Penn Yan and Weedsport. So that'll be fun too. Maybe a matchup with Desmond Batten for Penn Yan would be fun to watch. But the kid's progressed. Coach Young thinks he gets a little down on himself sometimes. He'll be playing a great game and then make one mistake and kind of gets down and gets himself out of it. But that's something that will come. And the great thing about it is he's just a sophomore, so we have 3 more years of enjoying Justice Smith. So it's fun to see the Lions get off to a good start. They also have great complementary players for Justice Smith. And Devin Franklin is an explosive scorer and a great athlete. And Ben Rockefeller is a senior now, and he's going to be relied on to produce more. They had Jordan Harris miss the opener. He's a big body inside. He had surgery on his thumb from a football injury, I believe, and he's been cleared to play as of Monday, I think. So we should see him in Waterloo. And Kelly, the new kid coming up from JVs, was very impressive, and he might end up leading the Lions and scoring plenty of nights. So Zach Young's got a good team, a sectional contending team in his classification, although I think they have North Star Christian, I think, is in their class, and that'll be a tough nut to crack at the end of the season. But certainly a contender in Wayne County. I mean, right now I'd say Clyde has the advantage over Lions, but once you get those two together, and we're going to have them twice on FL1 Sports this year, anything can happen. And that game may decide the league title, although I think that this Lions team will have a tough time running the table outside of Clyde. I think that there's going to be some different matchups that might be troublesome for Coach Young, but we'll see. Certainly, now that the season's in full force, and we'll give you the full schedule of games this week, which is quite extensive, coming up at the end of the show. But let's move on now and talk about the second game. And this was an interesting game, too, because it pitted Geneva, Class A2 team, against North Rose Wolcott. And Geneva, bigger school. North Rose Wolcott won handily last year in this tip-off classic against Geneva, but they were different teams. North Rose Wolcott lost 6 other top 7 players off their roster and really only returned 2 players that were even on the roster last year, this year. But they returned Tyler Norris, who's undisputedly one of the best players in all the Wayne Finger Lakes. He had 20 points in this game that Geneva won 51-37. But it was tough to watch because, and this is nothing against the inexperienced players for first-year coach Paul McIntyre at North Rose Wolcott, but everybody's focusing double teams, triple teams on Tyler Norris, and he wasn't getting much support. I was impressed a little bit with Nate Sanford, what he did for North Rose. So hopefully those other guys can get more comfortable with playing, because these guys are coming in cold too. They hadn't played, any varsity basketball on the court, for the past 2 years, where the lefty Tyler Norris has been, pretty dominant. And I was impressed with the effort North Rose Wolcott put forth. They were in the game for most of the time, but I was also really impressed with Brian Miller's Geneva Panthers. Better than I thought. Tyler Tyson had a great game, 23 points, making all 10 of his free throws, 8 rebounds and 5 blocks. Akeem Hudson kicked in 13 points, but Geneva's kind of bigger than I thought when I saw him, and pretty athletic, and I think, it's tough in the East to say that this Geneva Panther team could contend for the East, but I think they can be top half, which after last year they had a tough year, finishing, I think it was 7th or 8th place in the league last year. So we're going to hear from Tyler Tyson now, who's had a great game against North Rose, and he sat down for the post-game show to talk with Brendan and Tane at NYCC after his win.
Our player of the game for game number 2 is Tyler Tyson joining us. Tyler finishes with 23 points, including a perfect 10 of 10 from the free throw line. And I know you got off to a little bit of a slow start with a couple fouls early on, but especially the second half, you really seem to kind of find your groove.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what it means to get a win in the opening game of the year.
I don't know. The past 2 years, our first game we haven't won, and then I don't know. It's just feels good, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Winning is fun. When you head to the bench early in the game with those 2 fouls, did that help a little bit just to kind of take everything in, take a step back, and then go in a little bit later on? In
a way, yeah. I mean, it also get all the other kids involved in our offense and stuff. So I wasn't the main like point in the offense. Seems like they threw that 3-2 zone at you in the first half. It took a little bit of time for you to adjust, but it seemed like once you were able to get the ball, especially inside to Akeem Hudson, that was able to open things up. Because in practice, he's always wanting the ball inside, and then when they double him, he just kicks it out, and it gets open shots on the 3. How about the free throw shooting? I don't know. First thing I said was 10 out of 10 from the free throw line, and you almost acted kind of surprised or about time or something like you said that. Is that something that you put some work in the offseason? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just try. I won't leave the gym until I at least hit 15 of 20 every time I go, and I've been in the gym almost every day, like even after practices and just shooting and stuff. Talking with Coach Miller, he really likes this group. He said it's a fun group to work with. Are you enjoying playing with this group of guys? Yeah, it's fun. They're very young. They still don't have a lot of experience, but I feel like once they do, it'll be good. In practices, we're always laughing and having fun and stuff. And Coach Miller actually said he enjoys it. So no, you definitely get that feeling. Yeah, you do. So do you find yourself kind of in practice assuming that leadership role? Yeah, for sure. I mean, other people, they get a little nervous at times and stuff, but you just got to help them out. And they'll be running offense, like going over the plays, and sometimes they'll mess up, and you just got to tell them to keep their head in it and just, like basically help them with the offense.
There can't be a lot of teams in the Finger Lakes East this year that have the size that you guys do. Not only rebounding, but you guys must have had at least 6 or 7 block shots today.
Yeah, that, and we had a lot of offensive rebounds too. I think our coach at half said we had 10. So,
what do you think about the Finger Lakes East going into this year?
I don't know.
Just kind of worrying about
go out and
play. Yeah,
that's basically the main focus.
What do you think is going to be the key for your team this year to be successful?
Finishing layups and just staying like focused, especially late in games. If it's close, everyone just has to stay like within themselves and just trusting what the coach has going on and just run the plays.
It also seems that compared to some of the other teams in the area, you guys have a lot of depth.
Yeah,
you're able to go into your bench and get some production. We saw that today.
Yeah, we got two or three point guards. We were missing one kid. He wasn't here, Latrell. He's with his family, and he plays it too, so that's another guard. And we got a lot of big men too with height.
I think that's going to help you as the year goes on.
For sure.
Well, it has to feel good to get off to a good start. 23 points for you, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. It's a great start to the season for you and obviously for your team with the victory. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tyler Tyson joining us here in the postgame show. Geneva wins this one going away 51-37.
So great to hear from Tyler Tyson there. He's been a guy that's been on varsity for this is his 3rd year. We've seen him a lot here on Finger Lakes 1. And, we prognosticate a lot about here and say, the East is going to be between Minders, Newark, and Pelmac, and Wayne should be maybe contend, and Midlakes should be better. But, hey, we'll see what happens on the court. Geneva I thought they were impressive, and I think they're the type of team that'll get better. And to hear Coach Brian Miller say that he likes this group and that he's having more fun and Tyler Tyson's having fun in practice, that's a big part of it, because I know there was a lot of it wasn't so much fun last year at Geneva. So we'll keep an eye on the Panthers and see how they do once league play starts. And that leads us to the 3rd game of the night, which was Waterloo South Seneca. And I'll tell you, the thing about this game was South Seneca really struggled out the gate. They had 2 points in the first quarter. They went on a little 6-0 run at the end of the half just to get to, I think, 8 points at the half, down over 20 to Waterloo, who looks pretty deep. Not really one player standing out, but, they can go 10, 11, 12 deep on their bench. And it looked like they were just going to roll over Dan Lent's Falcons. But a characteristic of any Dan Lent team that I've seen since we've been covering South Seneca basketball is that they just don't give up. They keep fighting. And this year they lose their leader in Lincoln Backman Lowe, and they had another good player last year who came up from Long Island, Ray Mercado, who is now back in Long Island. And I guess a few guys returning opted for the indoor track team instead of basketball. So it seems like it's just a constant rebuilding process for the Falcons. But they never give up. They came back to cut that lead down to 7 at one point and had a couple possessions to even get it closer. Ended up Waterloo winning 48-40 behind 11 points, 3 rebounds from Jarret Benedicks. He also dished out 3 assists. Daquan Kingston had 12 big rebounds in that win. For South Seneca, Devin Rogers, 13.6 rebounds. John Zajac Jr., 11 points, 5 rebounds. They form a nice core with Marshall Warden, who wasn't at the game. He was ill. He was sick. Couldn't play in the opener. He may have made a difference in that one, as we projected him to be one of the top 2 or 3 guys on Dan Lent's roster. But Devin Rogers, 13.6 rebounds, most of them in the second half during that comeback. Same thing with Zajac's 11 points. A lot of that when they really started putting it together late. So always interesting to try to gauge these West versus East matchups. Waterloo not expected to be near the top of the East, but then again, South Seneca not expected to be near the top of the West. So South Seneca, certainly a lot of room for improvement, and could they're going to win some games in the West. There's no doubt about that. But Waterloo gets the win, and after the game, we talked to Kevin Korzeniewski and myself, called the afternoon sessions at NYCC, and we got to talk to Jarret Benedicks about his squad this year under second-year coach Kevin Dinan.
Korzeniewski in here in the booth with our special guest, Jarret Benedicks. Good game, buddy.
Thanks.
So, you guys open up a big lead. Looks like that game might be over, but then South Seneca comes storming back. Did you guys get rattled a little bit?
Yeah, for a little bit we did, but at the end we kind of got everything back together and got everything to work.
It did work.
What
8-point victory?
What did Coach Dinan talk to you about at halftime with the 25-day lead? What were some of the things he stressed? You guys had a pretty good first half, and it appeared to us that the game was in hand and that South Seneca was not going to do well. How did Coach handle that?
He told us to bury him in the third quarter. First 4 minutes, win the game.
Why didn't you listen to him?
We lost focus.
Yeah.
Went for steals. Stupid stuff.
Yeah. South Seneca, you looked, and I think are the better team, but they gave you a heck of a fight there in the second half.
They really did.
Tell us a little bit about the season. What are you guys thinking about the season for the Waterloo Indians and the Finger Lakes East?
We're going to be the underdogs, definitely. We're not big, but we have to work on defense. Most of our points got to come on the break. We have to work on boxing out.
Did you get a chance to watch the Lions earlier today, or you guys didn't get down here?
We didn't get.
That's
down
your
here
next
time.
game, right?
I think.
Yep. You got a guy, Justice Smith?
Don't know.
Don't know him.
Don't know Justice Smith. You got to do some scouting. Did you ever watch any of the games we do here on Finger Lakes 1?
Yeah.
So you got to watch some Lions games ahead of that game next weekend.
All right.
Maybe
go back and watch Justice. Good point guard. It'd be a good matchup for you.
What grade's he in?
Sophomore.
Just
a sophomore. Now, who's a better shooter, you or your brother Ranson?
Me. Obviously.
Yeah, he knows the answer to that one, I guess.
I agree with him.
So what's it been like for the team? You guys lost a lot of seniors. I'm thinking of guys like Ben Deming, focal point of the offense. How are you guys finding your roles this year?
I don't know yet, really. Season just started.
Yeah.
We still have to break the rust, though.
Last year was a focal point of you guys looking into Ben Deming a lot, though, right?
Yeah.
The coach probably made it a point. Got to try to get Ben his touches inside. And now this year, you might be more of a backcourt-oriented team.
Yeah, definitely. We have to push the ball a lot more than work on getting the ball to the post like we did last year a lot.
And, maybe get some more three-point opportunities for you and your brother and Jarret Hay-Snyder and Scotty Knowlton.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody got in tonight and looked pretty good for you guys early in the game. You guys were about 10, 11 deep first quarter. That's got to help out a little bit. How about the scrimmages? You guys scrimmage all right?
Yeah, we scrimmaged Romulus. We knocked the rust off.
Yep.
Still working on it.
Yep.
I think we won the quarters, though.
Do you think you can go out there and surprise some teams this year?
Definitely.
Because like you said, you'll be the underdog. You can go play Mynderse and Palmac and Newark, and they might look at you guys at the bottom of the league. But what are the keys? What's going to take for you guys to knock some of those teams off? Hustle.
Well, they're 1-0 right now, Corzy. Unbeaten.
Yeah, undefeated. Undefeated. Yeah, that's right.
With that nice win over South Seneca. So, Jarret, good game. Thanks for coming by, and look forward to watching you play this year. And you're a junior, right?
No, I'm a senior.
Oh, you're a senior this year. So good luck in your senior campaign, and we'll see you again next Saturday night in Waterloo.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
So Jarret Benedicks stopping by the booth. Waterloo 1-0, and I mentioned next Saturday night. That's the next time we'll be on the air at Finger Lakes 1. Let's pull that up right now for you. Take a look at it. It's the Hall of Fame Classic. It's the inaugural Hall of Fame Classic. Saturday, December 3rd, this coming Saturday at the SPO Center, Waterloo High School, the Field House. And, boy, it's going to be pretty awesome. It's, first of all, 4 o'clock. There's a really interesting game. Newark, number 1 in our power rankings. We're going to see them for the first time. They're playing against Jamesville DeWitt, which they're coached by Waterloo alum Jeff Ike, and talk about Jamesville DeWitt, guys like Andy Rotwins, Brandon Trish, DeJuan Coleman, Tyler Kavanaugh. It's a step up, I think, in Section 3 for Wayne Finger Lakes team, but we're coming at them with our top-ranked team. the Newark Reds. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that one plays out. And on Jamesville DeWitt roster, a kid named Buddy Boeheim. So that would be one of Jim Boeheim's kids. So a lot of people wonder if Jim Boeheim might be at the game. No, they're going to be playing North Florida on Saturday at 4 o'clock, the same exact time this game tips. But really excited about that one. And that's going to be followed at 6 o'clock by the consolation game. There's some games Friday night. Waterloo's playing Lyons. Penn Yan's playing Weedsport. So the losers will play at 6. The winners will play at 8 for the championship game. And I'm getting really excited about this one. Not just that Newark Jamesville DeWitt game, but a potential, you'll see how Waterloo does against Lyons, and a potential maybe Lyons-Penn Yan matchup in the final. Pretty exciting. Desmond Batten against Justice Smith potentially. So all 3 games will be live on Finger Lakes 1 TV. I'll call the game along with Mike Alessio and Dennis Leahy. We're going to have a 3-man booth. Should be a great time next Saturday in Waterloo. So the main event of the night on Saturday was Mynderse-Clyde, number 2 versus number 3. A real test for Mynders. And this Clyde team is stacked as well. And so we were anticipating a fun game, up and down, a lot of shooters in the game. And we talked about before the game that Jake Mean could be the difference, because one weakness of Clyde that we anticipated was a lack of an inside presence to contend with someone like Mean. And that proved to be the case. Jarret Murray, Derek Cobb, they were the 2 guys that Clyde was throwing at Mean. And, Mean had size on both of them. And he played a great game. We're going to hear from Jake Mean in a second. But first, I want to give you Kevin Korzaneski's initial reaction at the close of the game at NYCC, which Mynders won. What was the score of that one? 56-43. So, here it is at the closing moments of that Mynders win before a packed house at NYCC. Pretty much standing room only out there. So let's hear Corzy's instant reaction to that win.
And that's the ball game. The Mynders Blue Devils with a big second half led by Jake Mean.
Statement victory for the Mynders Academy Blue Devils. And there's nothing here that anybody would sit and say, I think Clyde's better. Mynders just won tonight. Mynders proved right now they should be higher than our Finger Lakes rankings.
Yep.
They're the better team on a neutral court. 13 points better, Jim. Not 2 or 3. Not a close game where you can argue. Mynders with a deliberate 56-43 victory.
Absolutely. So we'll be back to talk all about it. We'll have our player of the game. After a great 4 games of basketball at NYC.
It was a convincing victory in the second half. It was tight, and then they just didn't have an answer for Mean. He really took over, scoring. He had 18 points in the game, 14 in the second half, pulled down 15 rebounds. Brett Anderson, another good game, 13 points and 6 assists. Quentin Battle played a lot in the second half, imported 10 points. And, I think you're going to see a lot of different looks for Mynders based on their opponent, based on who's playing good, who's playing bad, because they are so deep. He didn't really go too deep in the second half, but he's always got options, depending, like I said, on the team they're playing. They got Devin Anderson didn't play much in the second half. Clyde hit some bigger forwards. I think maybe Coach Ciotti thought Quentin Battle might fare a little better, but Devin Anderson's going to do fine this year. He's for his size, I'm always impressed with his rebounding, his positioning, and then you got guys like Luke Ruddy, another big guy for Mynders, Hunter Haast, and Robinson, a couple more frontline players that are going to need to play more, especially when Mean gets into foul trouble, which he will. He did a little bit against Clyde. And then you got just all the guards. One of the best shooters on the team is Jesse Cabot. He didn't get into the game. So Mynders is just super deep, and I think you'll see a lot of different looks. But I was also impressed with Mynders' total defensive effort. Drew Carnevale struggled to get his shot off for Clyde. Derek Chance scored a lot of his points in transition, but Mynders' half-court defense was pretty good, and they got a lot of steals. Jake Jones anticipating a couple passes on the press. really impressive overall performance by Mynderse, and I thought Clyde played pretty good too. They're not going to face the likes of a Jake Mean at the center position of any of these teams in Wayne County. So let's hear from Jake Mean now. He sat down with us, and one of the things that I noticed and Corsi noticed immediately was as Jake Mean was starting to dominate that game in the second half, he wasn't showing too much emotion. He wasn't jawing. He wasn't playing to the crowd. This is stuff he's done in the past, and we touched on that in the post-game interview. So here it is, that interview with Jake following the opening, or it was actually Mynder's second victory of the season.
See, stay with us. We'll be right.
Well, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. Let's go right here.
3 victory over Clyde Savannah in a game that was pretty close until the second half when this guy sitting next to me right here, Jake Mean, kind of took over the scoring on the inside. And did Coach say something you guys at halftime to get you more involved in the offense? I had you, Jake, with 4 first-half points, 14 second-half points.
No, not really. We were just really mainly in halftime talked about defense. I just, in my own head, I was like, wow, I got to take over. These kids can't guard me.
Yeah, and you could see it. You came out more aggressive. You took the ball off the dribble to the basket. You even caught a ball with your back to the basket and went left. I didn't know you could do that, but I could tell you had a little bit of chip and confidence going that they can't guard you. And I said it in the top of the show, there's a lot of things that blend out here between Mynderse and Clyde. Guards, quick shooting guards. The one difference in the whole night could be Jake Meehan, and you were the difference in the second half. I think you almost outpointed Clyde by yourself in the second half. It really took the team. I've talked about this on the top of the show. That Mynderse the last couple of years haven't won a sectional title because nobody's really stepped up and carried the team like other teams have. Like last year, the kid from Wellsville did. You saw, and then Jose Santel did for Newark. So Mynderse needs that, and tonight in a big game, you showed that. Yeah. And does that rest on your shoulders at all? Do you think about that? Is that a goal of yours?
I mean, it's not really like internally. It is I view this as my team, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to get us the win. If I have to rebound, I'll rebound. If I have to pass, I'll pass. If I have to score, I'll score.
Yeah, here you are, probably a nice little highlight here inside, nice little reverse layup.
Yeah.
This, Jim, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I did ask you, this is reminiscent of me 2 years ago. We sat here in the same tournament and watched Damon Tippy Hunter kind of grow up in front of us.
Yep.
We saw him, he'd get involved with some John, he'd do some stuff with the crowd. And then his senior year, he kind of buttoned it all up, put the team on his back, and took them through a great state final run for Lyons.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of seeing it with you tonight. There was no crowd stuff. There was no John with the other team. It was fun to watch. You did all of your talking through your play,
yeah.
And Jim, any thoughts on that, watching Jake tonight?
Yeah, Damon Hunter's a perfect example of letting the talent speak for itself on the court. It's fun. Hey, we like having some fun out there and seeing some of the talk, but it doesn't help you win games. The only thing that helps you win games is putting the ball in the basket and keeping the other team from doing it.
Yep.
And so one thing that we saw during this game was that when you were on the floor, the whole offense worked better for Mynderse because they could run it through you and you could find guys inside and outside. You had 7 assists against Marcus Whitman the other night. So you can do so many different things to help this team that you don't really need to do much of that trash talking anymore. It's all about wins and losses. So with that said, you guys are 2-0 to start the season. You have a few games, Rochester Prep, RCMCS, Avon, and then Newark comes to town on December 9th. Now, we want to talk about this Mynderse team as being potential sectional champs, but how about Finger Lakes East champs? That's something that you haven't ever done.
Yeah, no.
It's always been Newark and then Mynderse. What's going to be different this year?
I would say that we're definitely the most talented team, but I would also say that last year. But talent only takes you so far. You got to have good teamwork, and you got to. I don't know. The coaching is a big part of it. You just got to play well. Talent only means so much.
So how is the team chemistry going in practices and through 2 games? Now you added so much talent to this roster from the JVs. So many guys that can play. How's everything working out?
I think our chemistry is like a lot better than last year. We're just all friends on and off the court. We know where each other are going to be almost always. This starting group has been playing together for a few years now.
Yep.
So we just grown together, I guess.
No, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, chemistry. I mean, you could tell, and Clyde was the same way. Both teams very unselfish tonight, and you're one of the more unselfish players in the league, I think, with your passing and, the offense kinds of run through you. You catch it. If you don't get double teamed, you take it. If you do, you kick it out, and that opens up a lot of threes for your teammate. Mm. But, with all that being said, what are the team goals this year?
As right now, we view ourselves as the best team in the league. So, a league title, and then as the best team in the section, we want a sectional title and maybe a state run. We don't know yet. Yeah,
early to tell on that stuff. But, I think you guys definitely have the potential to win the Finger Lakes East and win a sectional title. I don't know if that'll happen, but you certainly have the potential.
Exactly.
Yep, so I can have you down for 18 points, 14 in the second half, and man, it's been a long day for us here.
I know I've been here for a while. I watched North Rose, Tyler Norris play. He's on my AAU team.
Yeah, I know. Now that's something I wanted to ask you about. You guys all play AAU.
So yeah, it was a long day. It's been a long weekend. Thanksgiving Thursday. Then we have I know I went and got a Christmas tree on Friday and broke out all the decorations. It was Black Friday. Wife was shopping. Then Saturday, all day long, the chiropractic college. Today I had my daughter's 11th birthday party at the house, so 20 plus people over there, which I did the cooking for. And then now in the studio for this podcast. So, man, we don't rest much here at Finger Lakes 1 or FL1 Sports. But, Jake Mean, they believe they're the best team in the East. They believe that they can win a sectional title. They're in Class B now with Newark and Pelmac and all the usual suspects. Basically, the Finger Lakes East plus. I think early college might be in there. There's some tough. It's a tough Class B. Whoever wins that this year is going to have earned it. So we'll see Minders again on FL1 Sports on December 9th against Newark. So a week from this coming Friday in huge early season game. So that'll be one to look forward to. And a couple other interviews. We got a chance to bring a couple guys between games, or maybe it was halftime of games, into the booth who were on site. And one of them is one of the best players in the Wayne Finger Lakes, Enrique Mosman. And we don't get to cover Gananda a lot. And I gotta reach out to the folks in the western section of the Wayne Finger Lakes, that whether it's the FL West teams out there, the Dundees, the Bloomfields, the Honeyoys, and teams like Gananda and East Rochester. We have a tough time covering them as close as we do to the teams more centrally located to us. So anybody that wants to contribute, whether it's just emailing us or tweeting at us, score updates, your thoughts. Anybody wants to correspond with us, to come on this show via telephone or Skype, or even make the drive every now and then into the studio to help us cover the FL West in particular a little better, and schools like Gananda and Wayne and East Rochester that we struggle to get out to. I know we're getting out to Pelmac this year on our schedule, which will be nice, but just something to think about there. Email us, contact@fingerlakes1.com. Tweet at us at fingerlakes1. We want you to feed us information so we can do a better job delivering you this product. But with that being said, let's hear from Enrique Mosman, this is a great interview. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed both these next two interviews that we're going to play for you. Enrique Mosman of Gananda with Brendan Harrington and Tane Robinson.
We couldn't find a better person than an actual player from the Finger Lakes East to come join us here for our halftime interview in game number 2. Enrique Mosman from Gananda. And Enrique, thanks for joining us.
No problem. It's good to be here.
You doing some scouting or what?
Oh, yeah, of course. I have a couple friends on the team. I had to come out and show some love, see some of the guys play, but mostly scouting.
What do you think so far, what you see in this Geneva North Rose game?
I love the tempo. I like how they play. Defense on both sides needs to be a little better, I feel like. Tyler Norris, actually a great friend, great teammate. I know he's looking for some shots. They're playing tough D on him, but he'll get there.
Have you talked to Tyler at all about kind of the challenges this year? Obviously, that team lost a ton of talent around him from last year that almost won a sectional title. I mean, he probably knows going in it's going to be some hard work to get the ball sometimes, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we had a talk last year. Heavy senior team he had, great run they had. This year he's going to be more in a leader role as the top dog of the team. Very young team now this year, and just see how it plays out. You know, has to keep his composure. You know, some games he's not going to have some success how he wants it to be. He just has to play through it. And
you must see that sometimes at Gananda, right? I mean, you're kind of the focal point offensively for your squad. You see a lot of teams running strategies to stop you, right?
Yeah, I would like to think so. It's fun over there. I remember my days. I would get double teamed, face guarded. You just got to play through it. It's just one of those things that it comes. You have to use your team. And this year it should be fun. We're a lot of young guys coming up this year, and Gananda should be well coached by Jeff Thompson, and we'll be having fun over there.
We were talking with Coach Zach Young from Lyons earlier, and we were talking about the way the Wayne County League this year, it's really going to be competitive night in and night out, that there's not going to be too many teams that you can kind of take it lightly, that every team really is going to be pretty competitive. There's going to be a lot of parity in the league. What are your thoughts on, kind of the league in general this year?
Oh, of course. It's going to be a very fun league. Every team's going to be very competitive, very successful. I feel like no one's going to take it easy. It's going to be fun.
We're here with Enrique Mosman from Gananda, talking a little bit about some of the Wayne County teams here and about your upcoming season. You guys open up on Tuesday night, right?
Tuesday night, yep.
Home against Midlakes.
Yes.
Home against Midlakes. So talk about that excitement of a first game of a season.
Oh, man, there's nothing better than a home opener at your senior year at Gananda. It's just love the fans, love the environment, and I'm ready to play.
Outstanding. What do you know about Midlakes? You guys been? I mean, it's hard at the beginning of the year, right? You don't have tape on anybody.
It's hard. It's hard to see what they have. I know they are playing tonight, so maybe we could see them play.
You get coaching staff doing some scouting. They plan on catching that?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Enrique, it's the time of year that high school seniors are also getting in college applications, thinking about post-secondary plans. What are your plans for next year? Are you contemplating playing college basketball any place?
Yes, I am. I'm still waiting my options, of course. I have the whole season to play still, so just waiting on that and see what comes.
Right. Outstanding. Well, we appreciate some time, and we look forward to seeing how your year goes and how Gananda does.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, man.
No problem.
Good luck this season.
Thanks.
Enrique Mosman joining us here on our halftime show, the 5-star medical Therascar halftime show. We'll take a timeout and we'll be back with...
Well, I'll tell you, that kid's delightful. I really like Enrique Mosman, and we don't have a Gananda game on the schedule. We tried. It's hard when we make our schedule, but we might be able to sneak something in there. I feel bad that we haven't been able to get this kid on, the Gananda Blue Panthers on FL1 Sports. So whether we can sneak a game in at some point during the season, or perhaps they go ahead and make a postseason run. We can catch him there, but great job, Enrique, on that interview. Enjoyed it. Quickly, we're running short on time, and we got to get our power rankings, our Super 6 in, but Bryce Burri stopped by with Corsi and I on Saturday, and we were kind of, messing around with him a little bit, and this is a pretty good interview, too, with Bryce Burri, the junior point guard at Midlakes. And so let's hear what he thinks about this upcoming campaign.
Halftime, Midlakes junior point guard, Bryce Burri. And I'll tell you, Bryce, the one thing about you is you're very reserved out on the court. Like, you make a three and you just head back to the other end.
Absolutely.
And never talk any trash.
Never.
So what do the Eagles look like this year?
We should overall be a quality team. We need to just focus on defense more, because we have scorers on the offensive end. Just what will separate us is defense, hustle, and communication.
Yeah, now you guys lost Kenny DeVay and a few other guards, but you're bringing back, you got a big kid, Millman.
Yep.
How's he progressing?
He's been working all summer. We play on the same travel team. He's opening up his range. He can shoot the 15-footer now. He's playing better defense. He should be all right.
Who round out your starting five for us?
We got me, Trevor at 5. Carswell can play anywhere. He's versatile, trying to expand his range. And then we got 2 spots that we have 2 seniors that are stepping in, Sean Tillman and John Slotty, more like scrappers, play defense, get back. And then we have a couple kids coming up from JV that are shooters that could spread the floor.
Nice. So, obviously playing in the Finger Lakes East is difficult. You have that, for the past couple years at least, it's been Newark, Mynderse, Palmac.
Yep.
And then before that it was Geneva and Newark. It's just so hard for a lot of the schools and teams in the East to break into that upper half. But, last year I think we thought that Midlakes might have a chance to do that. And do you feel like this year's team is better than last year's? Do you think that you're moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. That gets at us. That's why.
Right.
That's why we want to focus on defense and just hustle because we want to just scrap, and we'll be in every game if we do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you have the confidence. It's funny that you said he's quiet after 3, but my son's a 7th grader, and he said, Dad, is Midlakes playing in that thing this year, the tournament today? And I said, no. He goes, is that number 3 still play? And I said, yeah, he still plays. And he goes, I like watching him. He's crazy.
Showtime, yeah.
But it is a bit of showtime. When he said you got, I said he's the Johnny Manziel of the Finger Lakes East. And I think that brings a spark to your team.
It'll kill us or it'll help us.
It probably drives Coach a little nuts. I'm sure he loves to run with it at times, and then there's other times he'd like to take you and lock you up in a closet for a couple minutes.
That's the good thing with me and him, though. Like, after practice, he'll be like, all right, so now let's talk. So it'll just figure it out and balance the power.
And he's a young coach, kind of a player's coach, but yet he's got a firm hand. I know that he does a great job with you guys. So it's nice to have somebody like that will tolerate a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For me, yeah.
Well, I tell you, we're doing this quadruple header. I'm getting a little confused. This isn't a post-game show. This is a halftime show.
It's a halftime show.
It's
the
Five-Star Medical Theriscar halftime show. And Bryce Burri, junior guard from Midlakes, is joining us. When you look at the East as a whole this year, who are some of the matchups that you're personally looking forward to? Guys that'll be guarding you and then guys that you'll be guarding?
I can't wait to play Mynderse overall just because they're a quality team. We're always a battle with them. Newark, I can't wait to play Nate Beard and all of them because I just play with them off season.
Yep.
Palmac will be tough. It's always playing Hawkins and them. And then my good friend Desmond Batten from Penn. Yeah, he'll be fun to play against just because I like talking with him. He'll talk with me. And I just can't wait to get the season started.
Well, we look at the power rankings there, and you can see that we at Finger Lakes 1 also feel like Midlakes is moving in the right direction. Preseason 7, and that would put you at 4th place in the East.
What do you think about that?
It's good. If we had a tough loss in Newark last year in sectionals, so
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. First, who's going to win the Finger Lakes East this year?
Midlakes.
Okay. Second, who wins the nightcap tonight between Clyde and Mynderse?
Clyde by 10.
Clyde by 10.
Oh.
They're scrappy.
They are scrappy. Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Their coach got them going in the right direction for sure.
Do you think that game will be a little more exciting than this game?
Hope so. I hope so. It's a drive out here.
Let's talk about Newark for a second. 2 years ago, they lose Tyler Collins and Micah Wright, and we're like, well, Newark's going to take a step back.
Jamie
and then
Rosser.
Out of nowhere, Jamie Rosser, and then out of nowhere comes Jose Santel, one of my favorite players of all time. And they win a sectional title where they didn't win the sectional title the year before with probably a better all-around roster.
Yeah.
So this year, like you mentioned, Nate Beard's taken over the point. Do you think there's going to be a drop-off there, or do you think that Newark's going to be every bit as good as...
I think they might take off running just how they were, but I think the league might be a little tougher. There wasn't many seniors graduated last year, I don't think, compared to this year's stronger class.
Now, when I think of the Finger Lakes East, I think of a lot of good backcourts. Palmac, Newark, Mynderse, Midlakes. I mean, each one of those schools has 2 quality guards in their backcourt.
Right.
At least 2 quality guards. Who's the best guard in the Finger Lakes this year?
Me. I got to say me. I had to say me.
Okay.
Outside of
Other
Bryce
than
Burri,
you.
who's the best guard in the Finger Lakes?
I'm gonna say Brandon Hawkins.
Brandon Hawkins from Palmac.
Yeah, that's not a
He's
bad
just
choice.
he's just all around. He's all around.
He's a good athlete,
He's all
strong.
around.
Yep.
And he facilitates well. He runs the offense. He's tough.
Yeah, he is. He's good. I mean, there's very good backcourts in the Finger Lakes. Very deep.
So, Bryce Burri, not shy, and certainly confident. We had cut that a little short. We're really running short on time. I got a few more things to get to before we get out of here. You can check that whole interview out in our entire 7-hour, 50-minute webcast from NYCC Saturday at fingerlakes1.com and fingerlakes1.tv or our YouTube channel. But quickly, let's move forward now with our power rankings. And I pull it up right here. You saw last week's power rankings during that interview with Bryce Burri, but not much of a change. Clyde drops from 3 to 4. Palmac slides ahead with that loss to Mynderse. I don't think that loss really shows me that I think Clyde's every bit as good as we think they were. And I think they'll continue to start to rack up some wins here going forward. The other big change was Marcus Whitman dropped 1 after their loss to Mynderse. Nothing to be ashamed of there, even though it was a home loss. East Rochester moves up 1 without playing. I personally moved Geneva into the top 10 after seeing them play at the college, but overall they didn't make the top 10. But with everybody getting in action this week, we should see some movement in the power rankings once we see some action on the court this week from all these teams. Quickly girls Super 6. Mynderse with that victory at Red Jacket tournament jumps up to 2. That's really the only change there. And I'll tell you something about the girls. Their website's just not getting updated with the scores every night, so it makes it tough to follow. I know Geneva played this weekend. I still didn't have the result. So it makes it real difficult. I should also mention Gananda up there in 6. Waterloo dropped out, even though they haven't played. Neither team's played, but it's the way the poll works out. So, come on, girls. We want to cover everything that you're doing, too, but if we can't get the information on a nightly basis, it makes it very, very difficult. 2 days out, scores aren't updated so far this season at the Section 5 girls basketball website. So hopefully they'll pick it up here. And, boy, we're really running short here. I want to run through some of the action this week. Starting out on Monday night, Naples is at Mount Morris. Tuesday night, Canandaigua at Palmac. That'll be interesting to see Palmac open. Lyons at Marion in Wayne County action. Midlakes at Gananda. That's going to be a pretty fun game to keep an eye on, too, Tuesday night. Wednesday, RCMCS comes to Mynderse. Be a test for the Devils there. Bradford's at Romulus. Sodus is at South Seneca. Bloomfield's at World of Inquiry. Honeoy's at Campo Savona. East Rochester in action in Wayne County League against Williamson at Williamson. Thursday night, Midlakes at Bloomfield. Man, I love these 2 games for Midlakes to open up. They got a Wayne County crossover with Gananda, and then they got Bloomfield out of the West. Sodus at North Rose Wolcott. Friday night, Whitman at Wayne. So Whitman opening up with a couple of tough Finger Lakes East opponents. Weedsport at Penn versus Penn Yan, and Lyons versus Waterloo in the first round of that Hall of Fame Classic. Again, we'll be there Saturday for the second round and that Newark JD game live on Finger Lakes 1. Hammondsport at Dundee. Clyde Savannah at World of Inquiry, Red Creek at Gananda, Virtus at ER, and then Geneva's playing in a tournament at Eastridge on Friday and Saturday. And then, of course, that triple header at the Hall of Fame Classic in Waterloo on Saturday. So that's about all the time we have on this edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast. We're underway, and certainly feeling like basketball season. So we're looking forward to a great season and a great week. This coming week, we're going to see a lot of teams in action for the first time. So we'll be back here next Sunday to wrap it all up. But first, we hope to see a Saturday at Waterloo for the Hall of Fame Classic. And so I'm Jim Sinacrobi for the entire FL1 sports team. Want to say good night and check us out on Saturday night in Waterloo.